Hi folks, HR Funk here with my latest recipe for guys who can't cook. And today we're going to be cooking fish. And I've got to tell you that fish is something that really intimidated me before I got used to cooking it to the point that I can cook it nowadays. And I think part of the reason it intimidated me is because when you hear people talk about cooking fish, they use terms that I really don't quite understand, like saute. I really don't know what that means. I know that it's a way food is prepared. I know it tastes pretty good, but I don't know how to do it. Or I saw a new one the other day for fish when it talked about poaching fish. I still don't know what to me, poaching fish means you're either catching it out of season or you're catching it when you don't have a fishing license. That's poaching fish in my world. But we're not going to do any of that stuff today. We're going to be baking fish. And this is extremely easy. If I can do it, you can do it. The big thing with fish that I've found is, number one, don't overcook it because then it gets rubbery and takes on a consistency sort of like soggy cardboard. Or the other thing that you run into is not seasoning it enough. Fish, and this is tilapia, does not really have much flavor on its own, so you have got to put seasoning in it in order to get something that's going to taste good when it's done. Now I'm going to do something a little bit differently in this video than I've done before. I'm preparing an entire meal. So with my fish, I'm also going to be having baked broccoli and tater tots. The nice thing about this meal is everything can be prepared at the same time with the same operation because everything is going to be baking. So let me show you how I'm going to prepare my fish, and then I'll show you the other items that I'm going to be baking as well. Now, one thing you do have to be mindful of with your fish is making sure that it's thawed. I set this out several hours ago. In fact, it is 5:30 in the afternoon. I put this out around probably 9:30 this morning just to sit and thaw so that it's not frozen anymore inside, because that will make it difficult to bake, or at least bake all the way through. Now, according to the instructions on the back, I only have to bake this for 11 to 13 minutes, but I have to preheat the oven to 450 degrees. So I'm going to start the oven to preheat right now. All right, my oven is preheating. I'm going to go ahead and take my fish fillets out of the package, and I'm going to put some nonstick spray in the baking sheet here so that it doesn't stick to the pan. That's something that annoys me when I try to get fish or anything else out and it wants to stick. So I'm going to put some cooking spray on there just to eliminate that problem. So now I've sprayed my cooking spray in the pan. I put my fish fillets out. I'm going to put some salt and pepper on them. This is the beginning of the seasoning. This is not the end. And there's my salt and pepper. And remember, with salt and pepper, you can always put a little bit more on later, but you can't take it off once you already put it on. So you're seasoning this to taste, but you might want to be a little bit careful with some of these spices because, as I said, you can add a little bit more later on. Next, I'm going to add some butter to the fish. And this will, of course, melt while the fish is baking. And the fish will end up baking to some degree in the butter. And believe me, everything is better with butter. This is one of those things that you really can't go wrong when you add to virtually anything you might be cooking. And who doesn't like butter, right? And I think that's probably going to be enough for right now. So here we go. This is what I'm going to add for my special ingredient this time around. You can add just about any spice you like. We actually got this in Columbia, South Carolina the last time we were down there. This is South Carolina Spice Company's Real Dill Lemon Pepper. So that's what I'm going to use to season my fish, if I can get it open. And I can smell the dill as I am shaking this on, and it smells pretty darn good. All right, and that's all there is to preparing our fish. Now let's look at the other things that I'm going to be working on, starting with the baked broccoli. And the broccoli right now is in stalks, so I have to get the broccoli off the stalks before I can bake it. So the fastest and easiest way I found to prepare broccoli is with scissors. And all I'm going to do is cut off each one of the little broccoli florets just like this. And when I get done, I'll throw the stalk away. And there is all of my broccoli nicely cut into florets for baking, and this probably took me all of about 90 seconds. Next, I'm going to throw the broccoli onto a baking pan and arrange it in a single layer. If you have any big pieces like this, you might want to break them in half. Now at this point, you can take olive oil and put it over the broccoli to help it bake, or you can do what I like to do. We have olive oil cooking spray, and I'm going to spray that onto here. So that will help keep the broccoli from sticking to the pan, and that also coats it with olive oil to help it get nice and brown when I'm baking it. And finally, the third and final item for our meal is going to be tater tots. These are just frozen tater tots. I'm going to be putting them on the pan with the broccoli, and I'll show you that right now. So I was going to use two different baking pans, but I decided to slide the broccoli over because I think I have enough room here. So I'm going to put my tater tots right on the same pan and spread them around also in a single layer. Now, someone told me recently that if you salt your tater tots while they're still frozen, the salt will stick to them better. So I'm going to give that a try. Never heard that before. So I'm just going to add some salt now to the tater tots. And we'll see how that goes. Everything is now prepared, and I'm just waiting for the oven to get up to temperature. It's got about another 200 degrees or so to go. All right, gang, I'm going to go ahead and put the broccoli and tater tots in first because they're going to take a little longer. Remember, according to the instructions, the fish only needs about 13 minutes or so. The broccoli and tater tots are going to take a little bit longer. And one of the things you have to do is keep an eye on this, and as the broccoli starts to get a little bit brown and crispy and the tater tots start to get a little brown, you might have to take a spatula and maybe stir them around a little bit, flip them over so both sides or all the sides can get done. And when I put the fish in, you also have to keep an eye on that just to make sure that it's not getting overdone. You need to watch it when it's getting flaky and it seems like it's done all the way through, it's done. You don't want to overcook it, as I said a while ago. All right, gang, as I said, the broccoli is starting to brown, the tater tots are starting to get done, so I'm just going to flip everything over the best I can. It smells fantastic. And back in it goes. And it's now time for the fish to join it. So we got about 13 or 14 minutes to go. All right, gang, it's time to pull everything out. Here is the baked broccoli, if you can see it, and tater tots. And you can see the broccoli is nicely crispy and brown around the edges. And there, once I get it in front of the camera, is the baked fish. And preparation time for this, not counting waiting for the oven to warm up, was probably all of about 10 minutes. Cook time for everything was close to half an hour from the time that I first put the broccoli and tater tots in. But otherwise, it's extremely easy. This is a great meal for guys who can't cook. So hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, as always, let me know. And until next time, good cooking. Bye-bye.